If you're getting into music production, microphones can feel confusing very quickly. Dynamic, condenser, USB, XLR, large diaphragm, small diaphragm, it all sounds technical, expensive, and easy to get wrong. In this video, I'm going to break microphones down in a simple and practical way. I'll also explain what microphones actually do, the main types you need to know, what really matters for music production, and how to choose the right microphone without overspending. By the end of this video, you will understand microphones enough to make a confident decision. At the most basic level, a microphone turns sound into an electrical signal. That's all it does. When you sing, speak, or play an instrument, the microphone captures vibrations in the air and converts them into a signal your audio interface and DAW can record. Different microphones do this in slightly different ways, which is why they sound different. But the core job is always the same: capture the sound. Microphones feel overwhelming because people often talk about them like they're magic. In reality, microphones do not create great recordings, they capture what is already there. The performance, the room, and the sound source matter more than the microphone itself. A great singer on a basic microphone will usually sound better than a weak performance on an expensive one. That mindset is important to get from the start. For music production, there are two main microphone types you need to understand: dynamic microphones and condenser microphones. If you understand the difference between these two, you're already most of the way there. Dynamic microphones are very robust and handle loud sounds well. They do not require external power and are less sensitive to background noise. Because of this, they're commonly used for vocals, guitars, drums, and live performance. They're also more forgiving in untreated rooms. For example, the microphone I'm using right now is a dynamic mic, and this is the Electro Voice RE20. It's commonly used for vocals, broadcasts, podcasts, and instruments. That's because it handles sound sources well, and it works nicely in untreated rooms. Some dynamic microphones have a lower output level. This means you may need to turn up the gain higher on your audio interface. In some cases, people use a preamp like the Fathead, which I'm using right now, or the Cloud Lifter. This adds clean gain before the signal reaches the interface. This is normal and doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the microphone though. For beginners, dynamic microphones are often a very safe choice. They're reliable, durable, and easy to use. Condenser microphones are more sensitive and capture more detail. They are often used for vocals, acoustic instruments, pianos, and studio-style recordings. Because they are more sensitive, they also pick up more of the room. This can be good or bad, depending on your space. Condenser microphones also require phantom power, which most audio interfaces provide at the press of a button. They can sound clean and detailed, but they are less forgiving in noisy or untreated rooms. You may also hear about ribbon microphones. Ribbon microphones are more of a specialist type of microphone. They use a very thin metal ribbon to capture sound. They are known for a smooth, natural sound and are often used on guitars, brass, drum overheads, and sometimes vocals in professional studios. Ribbon microphones are very sensitive. They can be damaged by sudden bursts of air, such as strong breath or wind, or by rough handling. Most ribbon microphones do not use phantom power. In fact, phantom power can damage some ribbon mics. Some modern active ribbon microphones do use phantom power, but ribbon microphones in general are specialist tools and not beginner focused. Okay, moving on. One of the most common questions I get is this: which is better, dynamic or condenser? Well, neither dynamic nor condenser microphones are better in every situation. For example, if you're recording in a quiet treated room, a condenser microphone can sound great. But if you're recording in a bedroom, apartment, or shared space, a dynamic microphone can actually be easier to work with. This is why there's no single best microphone for everyone. Also, the room matters more than most people realize. Another big decision is USB versus XLR. USB microphones connect directly to your computer. They're simple, portable, and quick to set up. XLR microphones connect to your audio interface. This gives you more flexibility, better upgrade options, and usually more control over sound quality. For music production, XLR microphone with an audio interface is generally the better long-term choice. USB microphones can work, but they lock you into one piece of hardware. You may also hear about large diaphragm and small diaphragm microphones. Large diaphragm microphones are commonly used for vocals and general studio work. Small diaphragm microphones are often used for acoustic instruments and detailed recordings. If you're a beginner though, you don't need to worry too much about this. A general purpose microphone that works well for vocals and instruments is more than enough to get started with. Microphones also have something called polar patterns. This describes where the microphone picks up sound from. The most common pattern you will see is cardioid. Cardioid microphones pick up sound mainly from the front and reject most of the sound from the sides and back. This makes them ideal for home recording and music production. You may also see other polar patterns. Omnidirectional microphones pick up sound equally from all directions. These can sound very natural, but they capture more of the room. Figure of 8 microphones pick up sound from the front and back but reject the sides. These are often used in controlled studio situations. Some microphones, such as the AKG414, have a switch that lets you change between polar patterns. As a beginner, cardioid is usually the safest and easiest option. The other patterns can be used later once you understand the room and recording setup better. This is one of the most important points in the entire video. Your room has a huge impact on how you're recording sound. Hard walls, reflections, background noise, and distance from the microphone all matter. You can often improve your recordings more by adjusting your position, mic distance, and room setup more than buying an expensive microphone. Some changes make a huge difference. How you use your microphone matters more than you think. Distance, angle, and consistency all affect your sound. Learning basic mic techniques will improve your recordings far more than upgrading gear. This is good news because progress comes from practice, not purchases. As a beginner, there are things you don't need to stress about. Vintage microphones, tube microphones, large mic collections, and expensive accessories. These can come later if you need them. Right now, focus on something reliable and easy to use. So what does a realistic beginner microphone choice look like? One microphone, dynamic or condenser based on your room, XLR connection with an audio interface, cardioid pattern. This is enough to record vocals, instruments, and full tracks. You don't need more than that to get started. The biggest mistake beginners make is assuming a microphone will fix everything. A microphone captures sound. It does not fix performance, arrangement, or room problems. Focus on improving those first. The microphone should support your workflow, not distract from it. When choosing a microphone, think about your room, your voice or instrument, and your budget. Avoid chasing perfection. Choose something sensible, learn how to use it well, and start recording. That's how real progress happens. Okay, so that's the end of this video. If you want, leave a comment, tell me what you're recording right now. Vocals, instruments, or something else, and what microphone you're using or thinking about getting. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.